Hello, I am Umbrenero and welcome to Umbrenero's Life. Today's video is making a layout for Spirit of the North. So the new game on my gaming channel that I started playing is Spirit of the North, and I wanted a background to kind of fit the feel of the game. It's more of a whimsical and more relaxing game, so I wanted something calming. In all, it only took me about 30 minutes to make this entire layout, and I sped that up so that way it's not 30 minutes of me going back and forth trying to make decisions and whatnot. So I started with making a gradient with the primary colors that sometimes are represented in this game. Like, northern lights are a common thing in the game at certain points because I have played it a little bit before, so I knew about that. And I know another color that stands out a lot in the game. So to start, I just made a couple layers trying to get the right background color, just so that way things are not too diluted, but also not overly bright. So that's why I was playing with two different layers of the same gradient. And I was trying to get like that northern light aurora feel on one of them and have it lighter in certain areas. I tried erasing, but then it made the other areas too dark, and at first it was a lot of trial and error like usual. But I eventually do come up with what ended up working for me. And since gameplay is going to be going over a good portion of what I make, what's in the middle truly did not matter much. So that's where I started lightening throughout the center here, just to give areas a little bit of a lightness and whatnot. And it's a good starting point for what I eventually did add. So like right there, I added a little bit extra bit of a glow because I knew I was going to be adding mountains to the image, just because there's a lot of mountains in the game, but that didn't happen right away. Instead, I added some of this dark red because red is another color that is very prominent in this game, and I wanted it to be reflected here in areas right where it would be seen. And then it was time to start sketching in my mountains, and at first they weren't showing how I was wanting, and I realized I couldn't just use the paint bucket to fill it because it wasn't an object that was already made. So I ended up having to color them in fully using one of the brushes, which that's fine. An object I wanted, but that did not work. So I resorted to going back and redrawing them with the brush, coloring it in. But it's trial and error for some things, because then I got the glows right where I wanted it, and that was what mattered. So because most of the center isn't shown, I don't know why I actually colored it all in. I think I was just going through the process of, alright, I'm making this whole image, let's just do the whole thing. And in reality, I didn't need to do all of that. But I started adding some shading in right there, and it's like, part of this is not going to be seen because of where my gameplay box is going to be. So I tried writing in the name of the game before adding the box, and it's like, wait a minute. Let's go back. I want to have this box in before I actually do this. So I quickly penciled in, again, the title of the game, just to kind of give me an idea of where I wanted that to go. And I started adding lighter shades of blue just to break up the game. Not the game, the layout, but when it made my gameplay box, had to resize it to what I needed, and I scaled it down just so that way it fit nicely. Because I didn't want it too big, I didn't want it too small, but I also didn't want it taking up a lot of space vertically. So that's where I ended up on this size. So then just playing around with the other layer that I already had, I moved it down and got rid of the text I already had there and gave it a nice darker color for the video to go on top of later on when I edit. And then it was playing around and getting just some more designs. And it's like, alright, I can have this blue extend this way now. And then I wanted a lighter blue to kind of represent like ice and snow, because that is a very common thing in the game. Left it not perfect because of cracks that happen. And then, so in the game you play as a fox, so I wanted a little like glowing foxtail that is hidden in the layout here. So I quickly drew that in, colored it, just so that way it's a nice little reference in there for me. And then I was looking at some of the artwork for the game, and I tried to imitate the staffs that they have in the game, and that's what I added on the sides. And then I was watching the font looking at the font of the box of the game, and I was trying to imitate it as best as I could, because I really do like this font. It's different and just really neat for me. And as I was doing this, I'm like, I can zoom in. in all, I do like how this layout has turned out. It's different than what I have otherwise. The only thing I would have changed is making the title down here a little smaller so that way it doesn't get covered up by some of the gameplay because of right where it is. But that's something you learn as you go. So, thank you for watching, and until next time, I am Umbrenero. Bye!